Okay, right.
Okay.
So
And
we're
okay,
live.
you go, dear Tanya. Welcome everyone from me and over to
Well,
Tanya.
welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for the 24th. Now notice 2 years we've been going with this living in the flow.
Oh, wow.
And the most amazing thing is we keep on discovering more and more ways of sharing this dance that is a really infinite flow of life. But also, I was sharing yesterday, Alexis and I never have private conversations in the time span between one session and another. Like we hardly ever communicate in any other way. And the most amazing thing is as if we never stop communicating. So the way I feel it is that we're in constant connection and communication with each other at a level that we do not comprehend in our conceptual mind, but that connection is so permanent that it feels like we were having this living in the flow number 23 yesterday. So that's the magic of timelessness and of allowing the flow to just be whatever it is. So I'm really so thankful, Alexis, for this joyful love affair we have within our living in the flow, because it is literally a love affair, a friendship that needs no words, because we communicate the whole month without speaking to each other. And then we come here live every month and spill out the beans.
That's pretty much it. We spill out the beans, and most of the time we don't
enjoy.
even know. We don't even know the beans beforehand. They just happen during the episode.
It's amazing. It's just so amazing. And it's no less amazing for us that are creating this than it is for anyone like listening to this in the moment. It's just, wow, how beautiful can it be? And we keep on discovering more and more beauty.
And the thing is, it's so easy as well, isn't it? Because we don't have to write anything. We don't have to pre-organize
to create
anything.
A program, a plan.
Yeah, or points or anything like that. And I've sort of been noticing this, like how we have to really change all of the ideas of what friendship means. You've described it so beautifully. And, because what in the past we thought when we were disconnected, and majority of people in that disconnected state, they perceive themselves alone and just this small being, just this person that is confined within the physical body. But we are so much more. We're huge, we're grand, we're timeless. And so in that way, we are connected to others all the time. So it's not
Always.
like that, okay, we have to physically, there is a particular physical flavor and intensity, like a physical intensity of physical body where you can experience things that you can't experience in a different way of connecting. That's definitely there. It's got its own flavor. But we are connected with others. Like I had just recently a show with our friend Hubert, and he, St. Egoist, and he also, when we caught up, we've never really chatted or met in this lifetime, and yet the first time when we caught up via Zoom, we just talked for a few hours, and it's like, wow, I've known you forever, because we work together like in all these different realms, and people who are coming back to themselves from being the realm workers. Perhaps you have those kind of remembrances, and if you don't remember, now is the time where you actually can just allow yourself to remember. There isn't anyone stopping you. There isn't anyone saying, well, maybe there are, outside people saying, oh, you should be this and that, but no one can make you. No one can say to you how you communicate, how you interact, what you think of friendships, how all of these things are up for each and every one to create our own unique version. And it continually grows and expands and changes. And we continually discovering new things, and new things are now more and more available to discover, these new abilities, these new skills that we have, that in the old days, you know, they would say, oh, this is just a psychic person can do. But in the old days, even a psychic person couldn't do things that now a normal person, meaning normal person who has connected with their soul consciously, can now do. But it is not forced upon us. It just means that we can allow. I mean, it can happen like all of a sudden you wake up, you know, or during the day you realize, wow, look what I can do. But we can actually actively allow, choose and allow, and then play with that, you know, like, because when you're playful and notice, when you notice, that's the main thing. You have to be present and conscious with all of these things, and then you can play and find out what you actually now can do. And what we now can do is so much more. And one of these things is this, that, you know, we realize how we are connected, how we have known each other, how we have had lifetimes together with certain people. You know, this hasn't started in this lifetime or yesterday, has it? Like and there's so much more that we are you know, working on with, but it just you know, that is now available to the human part, to the human self. But in a general, for me, honestly, this last, you know, like Tanya, you mentioned that you've been busy, but for me, actually, I've been quiet in a way that I've just slept a lot. I sleep and I sleep and I sleep and I still sleep, but it's not that sleeping, you know, that is a deep sleep also, but it's just being in that half awake, half asleep state where I'm just I'm present, but I'm also, you know, in other realms or in other places. And it just, I've just not been able to get enough of sleep, and it's just enjoyable. And who knows when I'll wake up back into the real world.
You're hibernating, it's winter.
That's probably it. Yes, and you're in summer, isn't it?
And I'm in summer. There's opposite times of the year for us.
Yeah. But it certainly have been interesting times. You know, I feel like a lot of people are experiencing full-on things, and some people it can be confusing, because, you know, now you can experience all but we are experiencing a lot of things at the same time, meaning like that you can be annoyed, you can be cranky, you can be in love, you can be happy, you can be content, peaceful, all at the same time, you know. So it just means that, okay, what do you focus on really? What do you identify with really? And just the rest, the rest you can just allow. But all of it is present in the now moment. Do you find similar?
Yeah, I find it's interesting, because at the moment, well, as life would have it, because my life is always intense, and that's what I'm here for being in the full-on experience of being in a physical body, and being able to discover those new superpowers in ways that, wow, all the time, you know. I'm surprised every single day at the things I can do and perceive and achieve and know, and all of that. Every single day, it's surprising to discover, oh, wait a minute, now I can do that. Oh, wow, now I can understand that. Oh, and it's so always this discovery. But so I'm in the midst of a huge project that is being born, and I notice the underlying permanent feeling for me as it has been for a long time, is always peace. So there's always this this peaceful ocean, and it also covers me like a mantle. And then in between that, I sometimes find myself looking for, shouldn't I be concerned about that, or shouldn't I be looking for a solution for that? And I always just find, just chill, just chill. And so it's hard for me to be in any other kind of state other than peace, exuberant joy, warm love, and the sweet, innocent delight of discovery. And everything else sort of pales when compared to any of that. So even if there is something, a challenge or whatever that needs to be resolved, because this this ocean of joyful, delightful, innocent, peaceful, but exuberant and intense discovery is so powerful that it kind of like sheds a kind of light. I sometimes feel like, one of those lampshades, that is huge crystal lampshades that they have in palaces, and that they're so big, is like, gosh, that's a big thing. So this thing sheds a light of such intensity and with so many colors that if I were to want to get cranky or angry at something or someone, and I have reasons for that many times, or it's true, I'm telling you, or whatever, then there's always this, it's kind of like an eraser that comes and says, no, not worth it, not worth it. No, that's not where I choose to focus. Just like you were saying, like if a reason is there and it's very clear that I could get into an argument with someone over a situation, and it just sort of seems so senseless and useless that it immediately disappears. And somehow the words that flow out of my mouth are the opposite, and always find a very clear way towards negotiation and reconciliation. And so it's basically by allowing myself to be absolutely clear where I want to be inside of me, so which is the intensity that I choose, it then erases all of the other possibilities. But they're there, and I could grab them with a click of my fingers. Immediately I could grab anger, I could grab crankiness, I could grab impatience, I could grab nervousness or whatever. But these things have become so foreign to my nature that even if it crosses my mind that, I could go that way, it's like, oh no, what the heck for? It's such a waste of energy for me. And at the moment, I need to be very conscious of my energy, of how I am using it, because it is being used in such an expansive way that there's not one little bit to be wasted. It's sort of kind of I've been developing a kind of extreme efficiency, and in that extreme efficiency I find that I have so much energy that it seems surreal to most people how I'm in this intensity. I mean, it seems like, yeah, but yeah, for me it's normal. This is my intensity. So what I find is I've been adapting my humanness to the intensity of the magnitude of my beingness, which is, whew, is like a hurricane. My beingness is a hurricane, but it's not a hurricane of drama, of hardship, of effort. No, it's a hurricane of, woo, this is so magnificent. Let's just have it all here in this physical body. So there's no time to waste with stuff that I've already experienced so much in my over 1,600 lifetimes. So I've been here over 1,600 times. I've had enough, more than enough of all of that stuff that kept me in the tumble dryer. You know, it was like I was in a tumble dryer for so many centuries and I couldn't get out of it because I was stuck in that tumble. I just couldn't find my way out of it. That now that I'm not in it anymore, it's like, no way, Jose, just, you know, forget it. I've had enough of that. Thank you. I know what it's like. It's not good or bad. I just don't want any more of it right now. Thank you. So, to anyone out there, I mean, if you can become very present to what your clear choice from your beingness is, this choice is from the beingness. The human is just the vehicle to experience that. But the human is absolutely essential and has to be on board. If the human self is not on board, then there are issues. But so if we're very present to, okay, what is coming forth from my beingness? And if I am available to be on board, which I call being clear and fully focused on materializing that beingness in whichever way it is choosing to express right now, then it becomes easy to discern, you know, what serves me best in this moment. Is it this? Is it this? Is it, because it's all there anyway. And so it's not because we are sort of like living our realization, living as a master, as a Merlin, truly experiencing magic every single day in really seemingly impossible ways. It's not because we're in that it's not all there anyway, that we could not just very simply choose to today go into drama or today go into whatever kind of stuff might sort of get us off kilter for a few hours, days, weeks, months, whatever. So it's about being clear. What am I here for now? Why am I choosing to live? What is my expression? Discovering it. What is my expression in this life now? Because at the end of the day, experience never ever stops. Existence never ever stops. It's not like we take a break from existence. So it's being clear. Now I need to sleep, or now I need to rest. Now I need to step back and not speak to anyone or be with anyone for a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, whatever. Oh, now I need to really get into the action. Now I need to get things going, etc. So being clear and aware of that, you know, that flow. And there has to be a balance. because if there's too much of one thing, then the other thing will beckon to happen as well. So being clear is also realizing that constant up, it's an ebb and flow, like the waves of the ocean. It cannot be constant creative materialization. It cannot be constant just, you know, chilling. It's a balance, and we have to be present to now it really feels good to just, you know, lay down and do nothing and enjoy it fully, and not be thinking about the next thing to do. And when we're doing as well, not be thinking of, oh, when can I rest? It's like being fully in each thing and appreciating it for what it is in that moment allows us to expand it. So a thing that would require eventually double or triple the time requires one very minute speck of time to produce results. So we can find rest in less time, and we can also find productivity in less time. And what happens to all the time in between? Oh my God, so much. It's incredible. That's what I'm discovering.
Well, because I think like the time is now, it's very malleable, you know, because it is not, it's because what we used to think was that tick-tock, and it has a certain parameters,
Dynamics
dimensions,
to it,
but it doesn't. It's actually very flexible. It's like elastic plastic kind of thing. And so you know, like 2 hours just, it can seem like a few minutes, and then a few minutes, and we know that even before, you know, like before,
we used to experience that.
Yeah, always we have experienced,
but
because
not in
like,
this way.
The time drags, you know, but we thought, oh, it was gone so quickly, you know, summer's gone so quickly. But it always was plastic and elastic. It's just that we didn't think, we just thought it was our perception that you know, like that the time was always the same, but we kind of perceived it differently. Now we realize, I think now we're realizing more and more that, you know, actually, because nothing is separated from us. It's both,
all at once.
Yeah, both is truth.
Are at once.
So as we're interacting with the time is also me, you know, that so it's not separate from me. So it's all just a dance of the elements, and everything is that dance of consciousness and energy. And there were two words that I was really relating to. One was chilling. I love that word. I use it a lot, you know, just chilling. And another one is that magnitude. I've sort of actually picked it up today. Quite a few people were saying, oh, there's something of magnitude going on, you know, because we feel all of those Schumann resonances and stuff. And for me, what the biggest difference of late has been is that I used to feel these things a lot, but for me it probably is, it has to do with this intent, you know, being used to the intensity. And for me, I mean, I noticed that there's something going on, and sometimes like my body says, okay, I've got now that particular solar flares tiredness, just means like sort of go and chill and take a nap. But I don't really feel at any intensity, as in more intense or less intense, because like you, I'm always very intense. And these kind of perceptions have even gone out of my vocabulary. Like, for example, because, you know, when I was really feeling so consciously, like in that communicative level, was, let's say, 2009 when I really started to feel it. And then about 2012, 13 was when it really formed. It was really present, you know, and I'm like, wow, this is my soul, this is my human. And at those time, there was few years then that it took my human self, you know, to change, to open up to this magnitude of self, and to start to continually to change, to adapt to that. Because, like, you know, as human self felt intensity with the presence of the soul also feels human self, the physicality, very intense, you know. So but now in the last couple of years, it's like I don't even think about it anymore. Like, you know,
there's no difference.
There's no difference. And I don't even think about this anymore. Like, because, you know, the other day someone says, oh, you know, actually you were mentioning superheroes. And the other day I was playing with the superheroes in that other worlds, you know, and this person was saying, you know, because I said, oh, I was playing with superheroes. And then this person was saying, oh, what about you? Are you not kind of superheroes? Like, I don't even have to say this anymore. I wouldn't be able to play with them if I wasn't.
It's a given. It's a given. It's like,
or
just live with it, you know.
Yeah.
It's the normal thing.
It's a normal thing. And like a master or not a master, you know, these
Yeah.
kind of words I don't even use. Like, I think you use them at the beginning stages when you're really in the soul. I mean, in my daily life, I often not separate myself, but I have all these different parts within me, you know, that play and converse and communicate. And sometimes I feel self, but I don't really think, oh, this is my soul, and now I have to allow my soul forward. And
it just becomes a blend. It's not something you can.
It's all just me. I'm just living my life without even thinking. And I don't even think also anymore, like, oh, would this how master would do it and this how master wouldn't do it. Actually, I just live my life. I do what I want to do, and I enjoy what I want to enjoy, and I chill. And if I want to be cranky, I'm cranky as hell, because sometimes I enjoy being cranky. But all of these kind of things are very surface, you know, like how you have an ocean, was saying, okay, underneath it is that well-being, this incredible well-being, and all of these emotions and feelings are just a surface, like waves, you know. So it's not like they've gone away. It's just that, okay, I can focus on this, but nothing is actually overpowering in a sense.
It's not permanent.
No, it's not permanent, and it's not overpowering. So for example, let's say if I feel whatever feeling I feel, I know it's just a surface thing and it doesn't overcome me. So this is what I feel that the mastery for me, really, a lot of the mastery was that, you know, like in the old days, I could perhaps, you know, go into dysregulation, go into this emotional dramas and crises, and I would be totally overcome by those intensities of those emotions and stuff, or fear or whatever. But now, I mean, fear, I don't really feel anymore, but all of these kind of feelings, even though I feel them intensely more than ever, they are just a part. And I always know that underneath it all, there is a well-being, and that I always can choose. And like you said, that all of this is very temporary. So it's this beautiful dance, but I don't even think about it. And for me, also last year has been a lot, is about just living life, you know, like there were so many things that I haven't participated in, as in, because we were so busy. I was so busy with integration and, you know, this valley, walking through the shadows and integrating the shadow self and all of this kind of stuff. So this year, it's so much just about living again, just everyday human things, you know, concerning about the garden, the community, like even becoming, you know, socializing, going for walks as always, you know, meeting people and stuff like that, just doing these kind of very humanly things. And I guess a lot of people can relate to that, because, you know, they've sort of said, okay, so the realm work is finished and more of oneself is coming here. But really, it's about just enjoying the human life. For me, I mean, I know maybe some projects will come, or, you know, who knows, because like you said, also, it is winter, kind of winter here. But I don't even that for me has gone away, that I have to create something in that way, that I have to, I'm sure they will come. It's just that at the moment, I'm just chilling, I'm enjoying life, whatever happens, happens. And I don't even feel that I need to anymore achieve anything or do anything specifically, as in, like, you know, have a kind of goal that I don't actually have to. I can just be a normal person, unknown, private, you know, like, and just fully enjoying the sensuality being in my life, and not even using any spiritual terms anymore. And so for me, it's been also a lot of actually moving away from like the spiritual group life, or even concerning myself, or doing any kind of this kind of work, because this last few years before the Heaven's Cross was so intense with that. A few years ago, I remember when it was like, okay, we had a meeting in other realms, there's something big we're going to do in the next few years. Okay, so let's do it. And we did it. And now for me, it's just this holiday. I don't know what I'm going to say next month. It's probably going to be very different. But at the moment, I'm just enjoying a holiday from all of it. And also just connecting much more with what we used to call muggles, or normal people that have not gone through this. That's what for me it feels like, as the new waves are coming into this, and they already have new language. For me, I've just been checking out what they think, what they feel, how they perceive things, because like a decade where I've been removed fully into all of the spiritual stuff, a lot has happened in the world. And a lot of things, like even the scientists, the incredible things that the science, it's like science is almost like now sci-fi, like the realms of sci-fi as to what is happening. Then things to do with AI and like all of that kind of stuff, it has just moved ahead, thanks to also the work that we've done with bringing and allowing consciousness here. But for me, this has been my joy in the last month, very much so, just to come back and to see what actually the world is thinking and feeling, and where they're at, and finding the language that I can speak with. So for me, all of that, specialized spiritual language is kind of really going away. And I'm also realizing new ways to communicate our message so that it's not so removed, because a lot of the times I feel that, when we speak, we're in a different level. Not we, I'm talking about me, in a different level, but, people are at this level. So I have to change the language to be so that I'm not so removed from the normal people, not because I can't be, because I'm going back to that level, not at all. It's just to be able to communicate in a better, more more relatable way, that will help the next waves to realize that, because the last decade has really been just working with those people who really are masters, so it's a very different kind of language, it's a very different kind of expression. So for me, I'm kind of going back into the more basic levels. So that's kind of what's been happening with me.
Interesting that, like, for the last sort of 3 years, 3.5,
Yeah,
I would say, I've been, like you're saying, exactly. So like on a holiday, just, okay, so now it's really just living this intensely and fully, but with chilling a lot and all of that stuff. And oh wow, yeah, this is wow. And there is nothing to achieve and nothing. And the interesting thing is that these things that have now come forth came precisely from there being nothing to achieve, from being completely fulfilled, from just enjoying that, wow, that beauty of communing with everyone, no matter what they believe in, where they're at, whatever, it doesn't matter, just speaking normal language. Like no one needs to know what we're up to or what we've discovered or anything, just just being a regular person together with other people and all of that, and coming to a threshold where it seemed this is it, this is it. And then all of a sudden, it's like a wave came and said, okay, now we're ready to move on to something new, to create something that we've never done before. But the funny thing is that this creation is not like any other project from the past, because it's not like there's something that needs to be achieved, or some possibility of failure, or some kind of expectation that it will turn out this or that way, or some kind of like the goals. Yeah, of course, if you're creating a project, it has all sorts of layers to it and so on. But at the end of the day is this piece that it doesn't really matter, you know, that it doesn't have to be this or that or the other, that it's not being created to fulfill any needs, any wants, any lack, nothing. It's just happening for the joy of experience. Is so different. And it came forth precisely from that. Actually, I was I organized a big event in 2019. And then I said, you know, now I'm stepping back. And when sometimes I spoke to the main inspirer and organizer of this project that for which I organized that conference in 2019, and I would always say, you know, just I'm in the back, I'm just in silence. This is my mode now, is silence. And I stayed in that and oh my God, it felt so good. And I'm, oh well, maybe life hereafter is just this permanent, beautiful silence and all that. And then this came forward and I'm like, oh, okay, let's go and experience that. But the thing is, no matter what, whether we are like just chilling and enjoying the fact that we can be normal and that we can interact with the world from a horizontal level, and that we don't need to use all sorts of fancy language and so on. It's so enjoyable, so beautiful. And then discovering that anything that is born from that has that same quality in a sense, because it does not push, it does not impose, it does not demand. It simply is sort of larger than life or larger than you, and it's beckoning to happen. And so it happens with you, through you, with everyone else, and you just, oh, okay. It's like, I would say, like surfing. How do they call those huge waves? They've got a name. Anyway, in Nazaré, which is a beach near where I live, there's, and now the names have all gone. Anyway, there's this famous surfer.
That's a very typical. It's a very typical of me as well. Like,
yeah, it happens to me all the time. So there's this super famous surfer, and apologies that I don't remember his name in this very moment. Anyway, and he surfed I think 30-meter high wave. And
is it break waves or something like that?
No, they have a name, these huge waves. Yeah. I can't remember the name. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What matters is that when this guy decided to do this, for sure, of course, in that case, he probably did feel some fear because it's a natural thing, but it wasn't overpowering, and it didn't stop him from trusting, okay, here it is, and I'm gonna do it. And I'm sure that in each moment of that wave, the only thing was that moment there, not what's going to happen in between, what's going to happen at the end, where I was when I started. No, it's just, it's such an intense experience of nowness when we allow whatever wave then comes forth from that infinite silence that is so wonderful. But the thing is, it doesn't stop being wonderful. That's what I'm discovering. Oh wow. So it's kind of like just being in the now as it is, as it presents itself, and not being farsighted, because you don't need to have the whole vision, because you have no idea where it's going, because it's something you've never done before, or actually something that has never been done before, which is an even larger wave. So in a sense, it's like, okay, you're at this threshold, and now let's step further into completely unexplored territory. And so that big wave that this guy was surfing, McNamara is his name, was that. Because I mean, there's no way a person can have an idea of how to surf a wave like that. There's no rule book. He can come now and share how he did it, right? Because he did it. But he was so in each moment, and I'm sure he can't consciously remember every step of that wave. It's not possible, because that's how life happens. So being in this flow is like, now it's happening like this, and then we have no idea how it's happening tomorrow. And even if I do have a plan for tomorrow, usually it never happens that way, even within a big project. So this project is larger than me and a whole lot of people together and many more. And none of us has any idea how it's going to play out, but we really don't care, because what matters for us is the fun we're having as we're surfing the wave. So it's being in that. And I remember when I was in that experience of, oh gosh, this silence feels so good. I can stay in this forever. And I was saying, I'm away. The signpost is on the door. Closed for silence. Not for repair or anything.
Closed for chilling. Closed for chilling.
Yeah, closed for chilling. I had no idea, absolutely no idea, there was something else coming next. I mean, these things just come out of nowhere. It's like, it's not preconceived, and it's not coming from before, and it's not coming for after, it's like, and that is the beauty of being in this state that we are, that we don't need to have power over anything. We don't need to be in control. We don't need to stop the flow or put the brakes on for any reason, because we're not afraid of surfing what's the name? It will come to me, that huge wave. Because then all of a sudden it doesn't seem daunting anymore, because you're in it, and therefore there's nothing else to do than surf it. So it's really moment to moment a new breath, moment to moment a new breath. So we're experiencing things that we both can relate to, and just like you're experiencing winter, or going into winter, and we're going into summer, it seems like opposite sectors of experience, then again, it is not. Just like time seems to be never ending, and at the same time it's already gone. Just like the breath is the in-breath and the out-breath, and there's not one and the other. Everything just gains a natural kind of quality of blend. And it is what it is right now, but it doesn't exclude anything, which is, for me, the most beautiful expression of what abundance really is being fully in whatever the now is without excluding anything.
And everything is on the inside, isn't it? Like when you were talking about the surfer, you know, like I was remembering about all of those people that go on to this, that do crazy adventures, as in like, you know, going on this kind of full-on surf that other people think, oh, it's scary, or they abseil down these big mountains, and or they go skiing with you know, when the snow is falling down, what's that thing called, avalanche, and all of these kind of things. And I think this is what, like, when you listen to what they're saying, is because they are looking for this exact what we are talking about today.
What we're talking about, and we're living in life itself.
Exactly. And they're looking for, and they do experience it momentarily, you know, when you are, when you have that adrenaline pumping, or like, for example, when you go skydiving, and they do experience that kind of expansion for that moment, because there's such an intensity, there's adrenaline, they sort of perceive themselves as larger than life, and also almost, you know, like at the fear of death. So it's they're looking for that, and that's why a lot of people do that. And now we've actually done this as in a permanent, so this is like a permanent state.
And there's no adrenaline.
And it's quite hard to actually explain how life is like this to the person who actually still has their eyes closed. And it would seem like magic, and it seems like, okay, so you're talking, to them it seems like, okay, you're talking fairy tales, or you're talking some kind of la la land. But it all has to do with experience. And the good thing for the human self is that, you know, like this whole integration does take quite a long time. What it seems to a human within a lifetime, quite a long time. Let's say you can say a decade or so, or even more, even though, you know, we've been preparing for this for lifetimes. Because it's such a huge magnitude. You're changing the way you are, you know, on such complete, total way of being, that of how you perceive things, that, for example, now it is all normal, and you almost, like, I don't even remember what it was like to really feel separate. But you really do it in a way that the human, even though those times are incredibly intense, but the human has time to adjust, to expand, to learn how to deal with this presence of their greater self, you know. So for people, when they say, okay, you know, like you said, often, okay, I've done it in a really quick way, but there is also a way that you can do it in a slow way, and learn how to do it, and open up, and, you know, it could perhaps be a more gentle way. It doesn't really matter. But even if you did it, let's say, in a moment, you still have to learn how to operate within, because it's kind of like, let's say, even if someone was like, you know, if you have a magical wand, and you go to a normal person and you say, okay, now you're a superhuman, they would have to, you know, even if it happened in a second, they would have to have time to learn. And how do I use this skill? What happens? How it actually relates to everything. And especially because, you have to change relationship with everything in your life, with other people. Other people have to learn how to interact with you in a new way. Some people come, some people go. You know, what you think about anything, what you think about working, what you think about politics, what you think about all of the things that a human does and interacts with. That's when you actually realize just how many things a person interacts with, because you have to relate to everything. You have to find new ways of relating from this point of wholeness, from this point of feeling okay, from this point of timelessness. Like even, you know, something like relationships, you know, you look at them differently, because, you know, what does it mean when you're timeless, when you feel yourself and remember yourself that you had many lifetimes? What does it mean when you say, okay, I'm going to marry till death do us part forever, I'm going to love you? What does that mean? Even it's meaningless, you know. So all of these things you have to relate to. So it's a big job, but now that I look back on all of these things, I see just how incredibly beautiful and poignant that journey was, and what a gift it was that I've given oneself, gifts to oneself, you know, to experience that. There is just nothing like it. And I know that, you know, when people, while they're right in it, curse. And I mean, gosh, I've sworn more than God, you know, tons and tons of swearing, you know, while I was in it. But now when I look back, it's like, oh my God, what an incredibly poignant, tender, gentle, loving journey that was. And it can't be even described. You know, you can write books and books about it, but mainly it's just to feel those feelings of gratitude for the journey, the feelings of awe, of amazement as to what life and how incredible life really is, you know. And especially now in the times when other people can feel so depressed, so scared, so pointless, you know. So without, you know, all they see is disaster and drama and world ending. And, you know, like with all of these new technologies, people are so going through so much fear. And yet, you know, people, us who've done this work, are actually experiencing the best times of our lives, whether we are, you know, like, and this is beautiful how I think it's just perfect, Tanya, you and I, that we're on the opposite sides, you know, not opposite, it's not even opposition, but the other sides of the world. And that, you know, one is winter, one's resting, one's full on in projects, one's summer, one, because it is so important. I was just thinking about that the other day, just how, you know, that with that stage where you are a follower or a groupie, and when you then really have to start to listen to your own self,
own voice,
you know, your own voice, and do what is right for you, regardless of what other people are doing, regardless of what your best friends are doing. And that is one of the hardest things for a human being to do, you know, even this, to feel joyful while other people are feeling so fearful, you know, to actually come to this place. That's a huge, if you want to call it, you know, if you want to call it achievement or whatever, but it's mastery for sure. Because, you know, like, you had to deal with guilt and shame and all of those kind of things that we've had to let go of along the way. But this following your own voice, and especially when you actually really, the soul self says, okay, so now now we're at this place where we separate from the group thing, and we go on our own, not our own, doesn't mean you're still not part of the group, but meaning that your own voice is the boss, and your own voice is the authority, and you are your own judge, and you are your own evaluator, and you are your own decider that decides what things mean to you, what things don't mean to you, what is your truth, what isn't your truth, regardless. And it's not, and then you go into realizing, wow, you know, it's not about better truth or worse truth. Other people have their own truth equally, because once you go into this freedom, you realize very quickly that unless you allow other people to have the same freedom, you will still be a prisoner. Because as long as you want to go into that energetic involvement where you're trying to make another person wrong, or you're trying to impose your own truth on another person, all of a sudden your energy interaction with that person becomes a chain, a prison. So you have to really then learn how to let go, let people be, unless of course they come to ask you for your opinion. That's a very different thing. But and so you really become this sovereign free being within your own self, your own authority on things. But all of those steps are a huge adventure in themselves. Like they are like surfing a big wave, because like you're stepping out of anything known to humanity up to now, because except for very few masters that have come throughout the human history, humanity has been very much like like a collective. So very, very few individuality. And we're not
very
talking
few listening to their voice.
Like, and it wasn't even allowed, because the society was and still is made, everything within it, the schools, the education system, all of it is made so that you become a very good follower, a good consumer, a very obedient consumer, spender, clog in the whole system, the way it works. So all of these kind of rumblings I find this so fascinating, like how it's all this rumbling underneath it all, and people who are not into spiritual things, how they're using almost the same words that we're using. But they just don't know how, but they just all of a sudden one day wake up and they see something, and it's like, wow, this is not okay anymore. So it's interesting how a lot of people don't even need to go into any spiritual circles, but because of this so much consciousness now present, they can just
I find it fascinating.
Me too. Like that's what I've been sort of really diving deep into this, like how how the normal people that won't even need any of this kind of spiritual language, and for me that's so interesting, because
that's amazing, isn't it?
That we've succeeded, and how they're not willing anymore to be just yes people that oh, this is what you say, this is what you get paid for. No, I'm valued more, I have more value, I have infinite value. They already feel these kind of things, so they're not willing to do this anymore, so many things anymore. And also just being able to perceive the multidimensionality, which is that ADHD, that didn't fit with that just singular linear way. And that singular linear way is so fucking boring.
Yes.
So fucking boring.
When we used to think that that allowing soul would be boring. Oh my God.
Now I think it's like the world is really has changed so much that it can actually now how can I say, support people that are multidimensional, that are called ADHD, that actually they're coming into their own,
and autists and all of that.
And they're coming really into their own with this creativity, with and
with their brilliance.
And this new ways with AI, like the worlds, that how the world has changed, it's going to change within the next 10 years.
Not
is incredible.
Even that, like
it is,
even in a shorter period, we'll see so much
change. But I mean, let's say if we say, okay, next, let's look forward
in 10 years it's a totally new world.
It's going to be new world. Because the nature of work, the nature of creativity, the nature of every single thing, it's almost like getting this AI, for me, this artificial intelligence, it's almost like getting a little angel on your shoulder. That's what it feels like to me, you know. I know that people are saying scary, but we have enough
it depends on
consciousness.
how we can use it.
That's right. We have enough consciousness now in the world that it can actually, because, you know, like for some people, of course, it can be scary and it will, like everything. But for me, it feels like I'm getting this artificial little angel on my shoulder that can help me with so many things. Yeah, and just not even having to do these boring, you know, like even, for example, writing an essay, for example, you know, like
you can just ask
it to
ChatGPT
write,
and it'll do it for you.
And then you just fix the little things you want to change rather than, you know, doing the boring Word documents. And oh my gosh, our life was so freaking boring.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing that is just amazing that 80%, it is said statistically that 80% of the jobs that are going to exist in 2030, and that's less than 10 years, do not exist now. 80% is crazy. So people are afraid, you know, that people will lose their jobs, and it's not that. It's a change, it's a substitution. There will be 80% of jobs that are currently unknown to us. So people don't need to be concerned that they're not going to have a source of income, or
they just need to be flexible. They need to be flexible and befriend change. And we've been saying that for a long time now. How many articles have we written? Befriend change. Be flexible, be flowing, you know, and
change is not an enemy.
It isn't.
It is life itself.
Exactly, you know, and like, and us, you know, like, I think I'm a bit older than you, like people like me and older, we've gone through this kind of huge, not such a huge, you know, like this next huge change is
this one is really short,
but we've sort of, like, you know, when I was born, we didn't have a phone in a whole street. I think maybe there were a few phones in the whole village, you know, not even that phone. So from that to come
people used to go to the cafe, or, you know, to the post office
to make a phone call. Exactly.
I remember that.
And the thing is, we've seen all of the scare tactics, you know, and it's normal to be afraid. I was just thinking about that the other day, how I remember, it's easy to forget, but I remember when 2000, just before, you know, that K2 virus, and because it's going to be that, and then the internet, all the jobs are going to disappear because internet. But, you know, like,
and then in 2012 the world is going to end on the 21st of December, and all of these things, on and on and on.
And if you're, you know, people who are Jehovah's Witness, even before, how many times have they ran to the top of the mountain carrying a boat because they said the world's end? You know, so we've been through these kind of changes, and it isn't easy for people who haven't befriended change, because then, you know, but society,
but it's upon us. There's no other. I mean, it's going to be more painful than ever to not befriend change.
That, and even starting from the scratch, because I mean, how much relevance is the education still going to be the way it is now, you know, because it, like, let's say all of the things that people are learning for years, you know, AI will be
useless
very quickly.
AI will be doing it in seconds.
Exactly. So all of that, it's a huge change.
Actually, human beings are being invited. Human beings are being invited to step up and really be valuable, because all of the other stuff can be done by AI. But there are things that are valuable and precious, and that no AI can do. And that is what humans are being invited to step into.
Exactly. And there are, like, for example, you know, it's like, I don't know, you know, how people still do the same things. They will have time more for creativity, because, you know, of course, AI
there you are, more time for creativity.
Exactly. Because
art, for all of these things.
For customer, not customer service per se, but maybe, let's say, to do massage, to do body work, to do all
sorts of things that are more into creating quality of life. rather than the boring, repetitive tasks that we had in the past, and that school trained us for. One of the most passionate things I have is really this change in education, and within the project we're creating is being able to finally really materialize a learning system with no timetables, no schoolrooms, no schedule, no fixed subjects, no scaling through age by age groups, levels. All of that is like, yes, it's becoming more and more of a reality.
Exactly. And look what I've just saved for myself yesterday. Just one sec. I save all these things that I find about education. So the elephant in the room, education has less worthy motives to indoctrinate young people with state-endorsed patriotic sentiment and to domesticate them into following the rigid schedules, rules, and expectations that the workplace demands. And their real motive is to grade, rank, and credential students to benefit employers. And so that is what school is
gonna change.
And exactly.
A school with no tests, no exams, no classes, that is my dream. But we're gonna make it happen. It's like, it's happening right now. And
it's gonna be needed. And it's gonna be needed.
This is the normal, this is what's gonna be the normal thing.
Exactly.
Because everything else is abnormal. We've been trained to be soldiers of the workforce, but that workforce is crumbling before our very eyes. And as I said, 80% of the jobs that people will have in just 7 years' time do not even exist right now. So what is school doing? Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
It is like an educator I'm very fond of, José Pacheco, says, a cemetery of creative ability. That's what schoolrooms are at the moment. But the beautiful thing is, it's not stuck anymore, and there will be more and more and more other kind of learning projects showing up around the world, because there's just no other way. Change is upon us.
And the thing is, that it is like the young people, or any person, any age, that's the thing. But you can create your own work with all of the technology that is available. You can create it.
That's why we don't know what jobs are going to be, because people will be creating them.
As they already are.
Right.
As they already are. The YouTubers, and some people criticize these things so much. But, look at it from this point of view. And of course, some things are not good. The TikTokers, the YouTubers, the whatever.
But
these are the creative
it,
people. They are creating a valid
they're living
work for themselves, and they are their own boss. And how many things, like you and I know, like even just doing a webinar, it is smooth for us now, but because we know how to do it, but how much do you have to learn in the process? Like you can't just, someone, all right, so today I'm going to do a webinar, like without ever doing it. You don't have technology, you don't have a setup, you don't have anything, you don't know how anything works. So, for us, it's very seamless and easy, but because we've actually had that big learning curve, so it's the same. These people that are YouTubers and stuff, it actually takes a lot, not only because it's not only just what you do with technology, but you have to be confident. You have to work on your confidence. You have to work on there's so many emotional and psychological things you have to actually master to be able to do that. And that's why, only a person who's doing it can really appreciate.
Right. That's the thing. I find that we only really appreciate things that once we try them out and realize, oh, wow, this is not that easy. This has its, everything has its skill to it. and everything has its value.
Absolutely. And, you know, being your own boss in this way, you just really are everything. And this too is a sign of these new times, really, because, you know, you really have to be so multifaceted and multi-skilled,
yes, very
and flexible. Yeah, and changeable, and just, okay, this doesn't
I
work
believe
anymore.
Independence and flexibility are key for this wave of change that is upon everyone. The thing is, it's here. Now, either one can surf it or go under. That's
or,
it.
you know, or we'll have to do it by force, because there'll be force, because their job will be gone, you know. And so, you know, we would invite each one to actually look at this, like, let's say this beautiful example that Tanya has of just, you know, getting this project of education, which is such a huge change. You know, look at where you can actually just be open.
It's not that hard, really, you know, because if we start looking for the solutions rather than looking at the problems,
that's it.
If we focus on what we really would love to experience rather than on what we don't like that's happening or whatever. For me, it's about, no, what is it that I enjoy, and create it. Just create it. There you are.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's what is the most incredible thing about this is that, you know, like, I find that you know, you follow the joy thread
all the time.
Takes you, and then that's where you see all these options and possibilities and things, and you think, wow, I didn't see that before. I can do this now.
There's more joy to be had.
Yeah,
you know,
and the best thing is, and the best thing is that when you come to a place when you want to do something that you enjoy and it's not there yet, that's your clue that you're supposed to create it.
Right.
That's where the new comes in. You create something new, isn't it? Like,
that's it. Within this project, this has been cooking since December. But it started before, but anyway, more precisely. And along the way, it's so huge, and there's a lot of legal stuff involved and all of that, and I hate that kind of stuff, you know, papers and stuff. And but then each time I stop and sense, am I really gonna do this? Am I really gonna do this? The only thing I feel is joy. So I follow the joy, you know? I have to take care of those papers and those and those and those. But if I do it in a flow and don't see those things as obstacles, as a hassle, as whatever, what happens is I go to these places and do these things, and then there are the people there who are kind and who just love to be in my presence, and therefore will open the door more easily and whatever, you know, things just flow naturally if we don't have preconceived ideas about what they usually are. This is the thing. So in my case, I'm coming from within the system, creating something that's completely out of the system, but I'm coming from within the system. So I'm using the system and I'm letting it serve me and everyone who wants to be served by it, not in opposition, but in receptivity and openness. And gosh, it's amazing the amount of things that happen once we realize you don't have to fight against the system at all. If you cooperate it and create what you really have in your heart that brings you joy, the system will help you do it.
Well, because the thing is, co-created those systems.
We've co-created these systems for centuries.
Exactly.
We are part of these systems.
That's it. And the thing is, it's just the same as when let's say I integrate a personal part of myself that was separated. It's the same. I feel like I'm integrating the systems, you know. It's not the hatred or the fighting. That's the old way. But it's like, okay, so I take responsibility. I co-created this because you know,
and it served me.
It served, exactly. And now I am different. Now I bring my consciousness, which is the presence of soul, in other words, into these systems, and let's see what happens, because I saw what happen to me as a human personally, and now the next step is now I see what happens to the world.
It's like creating a Trojan horse of love. So instead of, so you go in the system in the Trojan horse, but now what's going to come out of it are not these fighters, right? That are coming for a battle. No. What's going to come out of it is, once you're in there, it's really all oozing this openness, this cooperation, this receptivity, the love, really, the love of life, and the honor of loving life within each and every single, not only human being, but being, whatever.
But the world that we created, the ideas, the societies we co-created, you know, absolutely. Like, and it's beautiful. Again, we've come to the point of togetherness, even if we didn't.
Yes.
We haven't really spoken. We haven't really much communicated. But, you know, like, and because we are connected in this way, and all of us, you know, that are working with this, and it's just incredible, the times. Like I can't tell you how excited I am about this, all of these changes, because
I was at a teachers conference 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever, and of course the concern about AI was huge, but the title of the conference was even the heart of teaching EFL, which is English as a foreign language. The heart, then it had he in brackets and art. So heart and art at the same time. But the general overall feeling and sense within everyone was, wow, this time it seemed more loving than ever. People were commenting this. And at the end of the day, the direction within the context of AI was, hey guys, don't be afraid, don't fight against it, use it to your own benefit, use it with your students, they know about it, you know about it, open the door, don't pretend you don't know just so you can spy on them, bring it to the forefront and use it together. And basically, this is what the world now is inviting us to do, not just with AI. I mean, you know, the whole context of change is open the door.
And the institutions themselves, you know, like, they're not as hard as what they used to be, because the ideas that upheld them are breaking down, and it's the people within. Like, for example, let's say the medical community, you know, there's so many the last few years have been incredible with you know, with COVID and all of that exposed how these conglomerates actually work, and they don't work for the people. They work you know, they haven't really been friends to the people really. But it's how we co-created them. That's the ideas we used to have when we had self-hatred and self-loathing on the inside, and we've created that on the outside. You know, and those authoritarian structures and things that pull you out of your own self, you know, and fear-based things. And now even, you know, the doctors, for example, so many are leaving, like there's such a shortage of doctors, and also the teachers. I don't know, you know, in Australia,
in Portugal, they've been on strike for the whole school year.
And they're
been
leaving,
strike
and the kindergarten teachers and all of that. Firstly, because, you know, like kindergarten teachers have appalling pays, you know, for the responsibility, because we give kindergarten teachers, you know, the role to love our children, so important, but it was so devalued, you know, and stuff like that. And people are just saying, when they see how these institutions are working, they're saying no. But these people that are also highly educated, you know, because let's say if you're a surgeon, you have to have, you know, because some education has to be, you know, if you're a surgeon, you have to know how to operate. Like, you know, you can't just someone from the street. But they are, for example, let's say they will still be practicing, you know, as they realize, as they leave, and they realize, wow, there are now different ways to practice my profession, rather than within those old systems that actually really are an industry. They're an industry that support, that don't deal with, let's say, the primary cause of the ill health, but just keep working with the symptoms, you know, trying to get a person to keep taking the pills so that the industry keeps,
can,
you know,
proliferate,
keep going, you know, ticking on. So all of these kind of things are changing, even within themselves, you know, so that it's not like,
I was at a funeral. I never go to funerals, but this was a cousin of mine and very close. And
sorry
so
to
I
hear
happened,
that. Sorry to.
Yeah, it was a 53-year-old. So he's almost, I'm 50. He's 53-year-old, and it was sudden. He just had a stroke, and that's it. Anyway, I went to the funeral, and I went to the mass. And of course, I'm not into religion, any religion whatsoever, but I went to the mass, and the priest, first he delivered the normal Bible stuff, and then he stepped forward and he says, I apologize if I'm maybe gonna shock some of you, but I believe that we have to be people, because as priests, we don't have all the answers. We never have had. And we are just people, just like you. And our language has to become closer to what is normal, to what people live every day. So I'm going to share a personal story with you. And so he shared his story of how he lost his dad when he was 6, and then his mom when he was about 20 or something. And he shared what it was like, his emotions and all of these things. He shared a really very intimate portion of himself as a human being. And at the end of the day, of course, the message was that what matters is the love that then persists within us, and that is the presence of the person forever after with us in our heart. But anyway, the beautiful thing was, and I don't know if this has been happening, because I never go to any mass whatsoever, because I'm not Catholic or any other religion, so whatever. But to be there in that moment and realize, oh, you know, even these very old archaic institutions are coming closer to the people and speaking their language. Because I'm sure with his words, he managed to touch the hearts of those that were really suffering, namely his son, who's 20 something, and his wife and his brother, and, you know, all of the people who really were feeling intense pain. And by sharing how it was for him, and that it wasn't easy, and that he didn't have all the answers, and that, you know, he didn't believe in God at the time, and he was angry, and all of those emotions that are normal for a human being. He helped them much more than if he'd been reading passages from the Bible all along. So even the institutions that have been really rigidly following, and even the Pope, this Pope has a very different kind of language and a very, very different kind of approach, and has been breaking down barriers over and over again. So it's in politics, it's in religion, it's in economics, it's in all areas, medicine, society, everything is going through a massive change of bringing people closer together and realizing we all have something that's intrinsic, that is our humanness, and that within that there is also something greater, that is this love that can create who knows what. But so if we also embrace the AI with the love, you know, of wow, someone created this amazing thing that can give me a lot of rest and do a lot of stuff for me instead of me having to go through all of that drudgery, can also be seen as a loving kind of opportunity, you know, that gives us much more time to take care of ourselves.
And the thing is, what I was going to say before, you know, when I was talking about also about this change, is that, you know, to actually be open to how what does change and what doesn't change. But what I mean by that is, let's say, if I look, I remember so well, I was in fifth grade, fifth year of primary school, and we had to write a novel, you know, that was like early 80s. We had to write a novel, how do we see the society in 2000, you know, because at that time in the 80s, and mine was like, I was writing in the present moment, and I got a top mark because I was writing like, okay, I look up at the sky and I see the flying vehicles, you know, and the big sky rises, because I kind of saw it like the Star Wars, you know, the Star Wars cities, that kind of thing. And that was our idea at that time of what 2000, not 2023, but 2000 was going to be like. You know, and so the same when the internet happened, you know, some people were saying, oh, horrible, it's going to take all the jobs and things will change and whatever. So what I'm sort of saying, that what didn't change is our love for people, our love for humanity, nature, enjoying walks, you know, like it's actually even more enjoyable now. People now appreciate it much more. So it's not that it became, the life became some kind of Blade Runner type of dystopian, horrible, dark, neon light world. Okay, you have pockets of that if you want to go to Las Vegas for the weekend or something, you know, or center of New York or whatever. But in general, you know, people are now even more organic, or they like food to taste like food, you know, stuff like that. So those kind of things become even more real and possible and available. So that's what I was going to say, to look at how those things that we love are going to be even more available. You know, how AI can, for example, help with pollution, with being able to create spaces where we can enjoy nature and walks and wilderness, where we can actually grow things better tasting, so that we can actually then have more time to enjoy the human company, the cafes, going out to dinner, spending time with friends. So that is what is the biggest, like, I think a lot of the people have this kind of fear, because when they hear AI, all of a sudden they imagine
this dystopian kind of reality,
kind of horrible reality. But all of those beautiful, because if you look at what internet actually did, like when I sort of, because I've been really considering these things lately, is like, okay, so what were the fears at that time, and what actually changed? So for me personally, the internet changed that. Instead of when I first came to Australia, I was able to maybe every couple of months have a phone call for 10 minutes, because it costs $30 at that time, just to find out whether my family in Europe was still alive. And that's all we had time to say. Are you still alive? Everyone healthy? Yeah, everyone healthy. Okay, bye. That was it. And now look at us, free phone call, free songs, the creativity, the streaming of movies.
That is happening right now.
The closeness, the connection with people. Because like, let's say, even for example, if you are someone like an introvert, for example, in the old days, you would be feeling left out. Now you can find groups. If you're a painter, you can find groups. If you knit scarves, you can find groups. You know, you can learn. Look at everything you want to learn is on YouTube, available free. I mean, who would have thought that in the 80s? You know, so all of these kind of things that we love are now incredibly abundantly available to us.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, the things that those dystopian things didn't happen. I mean, for me now, I don't want cars to be flying above me and someone drops something out of the window and it drops on my head. You know what I mean? Look, like what you want privacy. You know, you want to go for a walk. You don't want cars flying all over. You want to go for a walk. You know, like, so there are things like that you know, like constant focus on what we love and enjoy and do more of what we love, and then we create more of that, you know. So the same with AI. So focus on all of the things that it can improve, solutions it can co-create with us, and that we still actually have more of what we love and less, you know, and less problems, really. So that's kind of like and then when I realized that, it's like, wow, you know, you really have to kind of look at all of the different layers and layers of what's going on, and what kind of images that I have for the future, you know, like, and people have for the future when they think robots and AI. It doesn't necessarily mean more concrete, you know? Not at all. It actually can mean quite the opposite. Because internet, it didn't mean there's more concrete and stuff. It just means that, you know, like all of the things that I do value and love are much more available to me, you know, at free kind of no cost as to what it used to be, you know. Because I was exchanging with my friend, like we kind of went down the memory lane a little bit, even just in the 80s, you know, looking at the radios we had. Like the radio was this huge wooden thing at that time, you know, and stuff like that. So those kind of things, let's say I love music, and the music is now so incredibly fine and precise, and the headphones such good quality. But it, you know, those kind of things have absolutely improved with technology. So would I go back to the 80s for that? No, because in the 80s, even though it wasn't so technologically advanced, but I remember Europe had acid rain. It was very polluted. Like all our rivers had no fish, you know, because it was all too dirty. Like my mom was saying, don't touch the river. You couldn't go to swim in the river because it was, and now you can. Now the fish are back. And so, you know, like stuff like that, like you really focus on what we love, the focus on what we love, and then we co-create more of that.
I would say that is just the perfect ending for our share. Do you find so too?
Yes.
That
absolutely.
is the golden key.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, dear Tanya, for another wonderful show. And also, before we go, we would like to thank all of our people who donate. Thank you. It is very, very much appreciated. And also check out our website next week. My friend Kathy Bauman and I, we have a deep dive workshop. So if you want to participate in that, check out the website and sign up. It's if you want to go really, really deep into the ocean, into yourself. It's a 4-hour workshop with a couple of breaks in between. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, just check out both of our Tanya's and I websites and enjoy life. That's what I would say.
Yes, yes, yes. Totally subscribe. Thank you, everyone, for your love. And
Thank
you
you
too, Alexis. Thank you.
Thank you. And until next time.
Until next time.